परिश्रमवाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणप्रदादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं गुरुं हि स्वयं सत्यः प्रज्ञा भक्तिविनीतयः विहित्तिश्चाभिवृदाः सत्यं तं गुरुं प्रणमाम्यहम् सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Let us start from 51. को धन्यः सन्न्यासी को मान्यः पण्डितः साधुः कस्येव्यः यो दाता को दाता योऽर्थितृप्तिमातनुते किं भाग्यं देहवताम् आरोग्यं कः फली कृषिकृत् कस्य न पापं जपतः कः पूर्णः यः प्रजावान् स्यात् किं दुष्करं नराणां यन्मनसो निग्रहः सततम् को ब्रह्मचर्यवान् स्यात् यश्चास्खलितोद्धरेतस्तः काच परदेवतोक्ता चिच्छक्तिः को जगद्भर्ता सूर्यः सर्वेषां को जीवनहेतुः सपर्जन्यः कशूरः योगी तत्राता च कः सद्गुरुः को हि जगद्गुरुरुक्तः शम्भुः ज्ञानं कुतः शिवादेव मुक्तिं लभेत कस्मात् मुकुन्दभक्तेः मुकुन्दः कः यस्तारयेद विद्यां काचा विद्या यदात्मनो स्फूर्तिः. In the last class, after the class was over, so there was a representation that the last verse was done in a hurried manner. So we will repeat that verse now. See, this question that has been asked here is Muktim labheta kasmat. Answer is Mukunda Bhakti. See, the term Mukti and Moksha, they are synonymous. If you look back, right at the beginning there was a question. Kim mokshataror bijam. See, the answer that was given there was Samyajnanam Kriyasiddham. Samyajnanam Kriyasiddham. This was the answer. Samyajnanam is a technical term that is used many a times in Vedanta, particularly by Shankara Bhagavad-pada. In common parlance, the term samyak, asamyak means good and bad, well and ill, something like that. Okay. So samyak kritam. So samyak kritam means well done. Okay. In fact, even Sanskritam is essentially that. Okay, the language which has been beautifully structured, built and so on. Samskritah Purushaha. In all these, the sam many a times means samyak. Okay, good, well, etc. So samyajnanam as an adjective to jnana refers to this atmajnana. It is in this sense. The knowledge of various other things will be very useful for our day-to-day life in dealing with various people and so on and so forth. You have to be knowledgeable, you have to be informed person and so on and so forth. But Samyajnanam is used to refer to the knowledge about yourself, the nature of yourself. This is what is referred to as Atmajnanam also. And this Atmajnanam does not just like that arise, and it arises only through Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Therefore, there he said, Samyajnanam Kriya Siddham. Kriya Siddham means something which has been obtained through efforts. In fact, we have this nice person in Viveka Chudamani. Sharira Poshanarthi San Ya Atmanam Didrikshate Graham Darudhiya Dhritva Nilim Tartum Saichati. So I will live as I like, so I will keep marrying, but I still want to get Atmajnanam. It doesn't happen. Okay, that is what is being stated there. Sharira Poshanarthi San. Sharira Poshanarthi means nourishing this body. Nourishing this body should be understood in a much broader sense, trying to satisfy all your wishes and so on and so forth as you like. Sarira Poshanarthi San Ya Atmanam Didrikshate. If this person wants to understand his own Atman, then he gives a beautiful simile. Graham Darudhiya Dhritva Nadim Tartum Saichati. So this kind of Atmajnana Prapti is comparable to a person trying to hold to a crocodile and thinking that he will be safely crossing the river. Graha means crocodile. Darudhiya. Daru means a log. Dhritva Nadim Tartum Saichati. So it is like this. That is why he said Kriya Siddham. The Samyajnana does not just like that arise. Okay? Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. So yoga, etc. Various things are discipline. So that is why Yajnena, Danena, Tapasa and so on is all stated in Shruti for this Atmajnana. So that is considered as Bija for Mokshataru. Kim Mokshataror Bijam. Okay? It is a metaphor. So from which seed will moksha arise? The tree of moksha arises. So that was the question there. Kim mokshataror bijam samyajnanam kriya siddham. Now he is asking the same question. Muktim labheta kasmat. The phrase is different, but the question essentially is same. Muktim labheta kasmat. Kasmat means from which. Okay. So how does, that is what one has to understand. Muktim labheta kasmat. So the answer is Mukunda Bhaktehe is the answer that he gives. There seems to be apparently a contradiction. So Mukunda Bhakti will give you Mukti. So is the answer. So there it was stated Samyajnanam. Here it is Mukunda Bhakti. In fact, this has to be understood with much clarity. If you look at Bhagavad Gita, in fact Krishna, so my feeling is Shankara Bhagavad Pada had these things in his mind when he gave this answer. In fact, he uses this Kleshodhikatarastesham avyakta sattachetasam avyakta hikajaradukham dehavatbhiravapyate yetu sarvani karmani maisanyasya matparaha ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate teshamaham samudharta mrityu samsara sagarat. So Krishna makes this statement. Tesham aham samudharta. Aham samudharta means I lift them up. Okay. From where? mrityu samsara sagarat. This is a beautiful metaphor. So mrityu yuktaha samsaraha mrityu samsaraha. So mrityu samsara sagarat. Mrityu samsara eva sagaraha. Mrityu samsara sagarat. Which means from the cycle of birth and death, I will relieve them. This is what he says. Tesham aham samuddharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat. Nachirat means quickly. Bhavami nachirat partha maya veshita chetasam. Maya veshita chetasam. So this is, so one can use this phrase avesha. So to refer to a great impulse which cannot be stopped. So bhakti is essentially that. So bhakti, so Mira's bhakti, however much you try to make her forget Krishna, she will never do that, right? So to Prashnottara, we have so many other Tyagaraja and so on. So Tesham aham samuddharta mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha maya veshita chetasam. So therefore he says, Mayyeva manadhatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayyeva atavurdham na samshayaha. Atavurdham means after the sharira goes. So if you do this, Mayyeva manadhatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya. Here he uses the two words, remember, mana and buddhi. So manaha is sankalpa vikalpatmaka. Okay, so which keeps thinking so this way, that way, so sankalpa, vikalpa, etc. So all that is mana. Buddhi is nishchaya. Okay, so mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayyeva atavurdham nasamshayaha. Then further he goes. So one has to understand, keeping all this in mind, what he says here. Atha chittam samadhatum na shaknoshi mayi sthiram. If you are not able to do, atha chittam samadhatum. Chitta samadhanam means sort of putting mind in one place. Samadhanam. Okay. Atha chittam samadhatum. Even we use the word samadhanam. Two people are continuously fighting. So you try to find some biomedia so that they stop fighting with each other. Then also it is called samadhanam. Okay. Atha chittam samadhatum. The mind oscillating. So putting it to rest. Atha chittam samadhatum na shaknoshi mayi sthiram. So there he says, Abhyasa yogena tataha mamichhaptum dhananjaya. Yesterday we were reading this Abhyasa. Abhyasa vasana yuktaha. Shaktya. So Abhyasa is essentially, so as it keeps moving away, bringing it back. Okay. So this is what is Abhyasa. Okay. Abhyasa yogena tataha. Okay. Mamichhaptum dhananjaya. Now he comes, Abhyase prasamarthosi matkarma paramo bhava madarthamapi karmani kurvan siddhimavapsyasi. Abhyasepi asamarthosi. So even if you are not able to do this abhyasa, see the problem is, so people have various kinds of problems. So this concentration is also not possible for me. So he started with avyakta sakta chetasam. So that is what is very important. So these steps are important. So the samyajnanam means, so samyajnanam essentially amounts to saying that sharire atma buddhi should not be there. So in this karyakarana sanghata, atma buddhi should be dropped. So it is not at all possible. Not an easy thing at all. So therefore he says, so these are steps. If you cannot do that, to do this bhakti, to do with concentration, do various things. If that is also not possible, abhyasepya samarthosi matkarma paramo bhava madarthamapi karmani kurvan siddhimavapsyasi. Madarthamapi karmani kurvan. So here the point is Madarthamapi karmani. Okay. So if you keep doing these activities, then so it can be so various kinds of facility that you try to provide to those who are doing this bhakti. Okay, doing some temple seva, madarthamapi karmani, fetching water, fetching flowers, cleaning the temple. All these things are considered as madarthamapi karmani, kurvan siddhim avapsyasi, siddhim essentially. But the point here is, so elsewhere in Bhagavad Gita also he will say, and in fact Shankara touches upon here and he will say, see, kurvan siddhim. Siddhim means I will bless them with this jnana. So there is, so I will provide them jnana and thereby, okay, this chitta shuddhi and jnana without the other kind of processes, okay, studying those. So this itself will help you. So that is what is meant by Mukunda Bhakti. So Bhakti is generally understood as even Nama Sankirtanam and so on. Okay. So, but it has to be done with devotion. And this devotion can be of various types. So if you do various kinds of sevas with devotion, that is equivalent to so madarthamapi karmani kurvan siddhim avapsyasi. So this is what one has to understand. See, sattva shuddhi yoga jnana prapti dwara is what Shankara will say. So these activities itself so will help you. In fact, that is what has been beautifully stated in that verse when I was trying to, I don't know whether I quoted in the last class. Vishnor namaiva pumsam. So Vishnor namaiva. So you start with that. Okay. Chamalam apanudatu punyam utpadayach. Okay. So ultimately he will say Tatvajnanancha Vishnu. So this is what has been beautifully paraphrased in that verse. Okay, so now Muktim Labheta Kasmat Mukunda Bhaktehe Mukunda Kaha Yastarayeda Vidyam, the one who will help in getting rid of avidya. So avidya so is something which has to be crossed over. So Kacha avidya is another question. Okay, so what is this avidya? In fact, these two verses should be understood so that, there is absolutely no contradiction between the statements that have been made. Okay. Kacha vidya yadatmano spurtihi. Do you see now? So the answer that was provided there is what is coming here. Atmanaha aspurtihi avidya. So and this avidya will be taken away by Mukunda. And Mukunda Bhakti will give you moksha. It amounts to ultimately Atma Jnanam giving to moksha. Okay. So Kacha Avidya. In fact, if you look at the Shankara Bhashya, so this Adhyasa itself is described as Avidya. See, Tametam evam lakshanam adhyasam panditaha avidyet manyante. In Adhyasa Bhashya. Tametam evam lakshanam adhyasam panditaha avidyeti manyante. Evam lakshanam adhyasam. So evam lakshanam adhyasam should be understood as adhyasa can be of a variety of types. See, in fact, in the Adhyasa Bhashya itself, towards the end, he will say, one is Bahya Dharman Atmani Adhyasyati. You understand? So this Atmanaha Aspurtihi means, so Bahya Dharman Atmani Adhyasyati. He has a beautiful phrase. Putreshu vikaleshu sakaleshu va ahameva vikalas sakalo va yadi Bahya Dharman Atmani Adhyasyati. Okay, first he will say. See, if Putreshu vikaleshu sakaleshu va means, if someone who is close to you, if he is suffering, he will suffer. So, Bahya Dharma means the suffering elsewhere is turned into one's own suffering. This is Bahya Dharma Adhyasa. Okay. So, then we can have Adhyasa of our own Sharira Dharma. Okay. Panguhu. So that is Indriya Adhyasa will be there. Panguhu, correct. Panguhu means so I am a Panguna, legless person. Leg is suppose it's not there. What will you call? It doesn't have leg in English. No, there is a
Not lame.
lame.
It's one who cannot
Walk, yeah.
Lame.
Something like lame. See, Panguhu. Okay. So this is something which has to do with Sharira Dharma. Okay. So this is imposed upon. So sometimes you say Andhaha, Badhiraha, all that. This is Indriya Dharma. Okay. So Indriya Dharma you will superimpose. See, suppose suddenly your right side glows. So now you will say I am blind. So earlier you were the same person. So Indriya Dharma, Atmani. So these are all adhyasas. Okay. So Sukhi, Dukhi is also an adhyasa. Manodharma. See. So this Manodharma, Indriya Dharma, Sharira Dharma. See. So I am Pramshuhu. So I am a tall person. I am a short person. These are all adhyasas. So this is what is avidya. So Atma is untouched by any of these things. So this is what is Atma Jnana. See this, if you do not have this Jnana, then you are possessed with avidya. So that is what is avidya. Okay. So a clear understanding of this, which comes to implementation in daily life as much as possible, is what is Samyak Jnana. Okay. So that leads to moksha. So this verse basically, essentially is explanation of what was stated in a slightly different manner. Okay. Kacha vidya yadatmano spurtihi. Now we move on to the next. Kasya na shokaha.
Kasya na shokaha. Kasya na shokaha.
Yasyad akrodhaha.
Yasyad akrodhaha. Yasyad akrodhaha.
Kim sukham.
Kim sukham. Kim sukham.
Tushtihi.
Tushtihi. Tushtihi.
O Raja Anjanakrit.
O Raja Sanjanakrit. O Raja Anjanakrit.
Kaschashva Nicha Sevako Yasyat.
Kaschashva Nicha Sevako Yasyat. Kaschashva Nicha Sevako Yasyat.
There are 4 questions and answers here. Okay. Kasya na shokaha. Yasyad akrodhaha. Answer. Kasya na shokaha. Who will not encounter sorrow? This is the question. Okay. Kasya na shokaha. The answer that he gives is Yasyat akrodhaha. The one who does not have krodha. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, this is considered as one of the shatrus. So that is there. Kamayesha krodhayesha rajoguna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidyenam iha vairinam. But this krodha has been beautifully described by Manu. So the effects of krodha. So if you understand that, that will be much better and easy to appreciate kasya na shokaha. So there in Manusmriti we have this verse. Paishunyam sahasam drohaha.
Paishunyam sahasam drohaha. Paishunyam sahasam drohaha.
Irshya suyartha dushanam.
Irshya
Suyartha dushanam.
Irshya suyartha
dushanam. Vagdandajam cha parushyam.
Vagdandajam cha parushyam. Vagdandajam cha parushyam.
क्रोधनोऽपि गुणोष्टकः
क्रोधनोऽपि गुणोष्टकः क्रोधनोऽपि गुणोष्टकः.
He describes the effects of karma, effects of krodha and so on. That is why krodhanopi gunoshtakaha means it manifests itself in 8 ways. Okay. Paishunyam sahasam drohaha. Paishunyam. What is the definition of Prashnottara? Parasmai pararantha prakatikaranam paishunyam. Okay. So here, paishunyam, this is one form of krodha. If you dislike that person, so that will get reflected. Sahasam, so in anger, suddenly we will do various things. So somebody will immolate himself. They will do various kinds of things. So, okay, so this is another form of krodha. Okay, paishunyam, sahasam, doing acts without thinking in a very hurried manner. In fact, I remember now, sometimes even during conversation, if the other fellow says something which you totally dislike, so you will suddenly shout. In fact, one of my very close friends, he was saying, he was talking to his father-in-law and he said something and he suddenly started shouting at him. Okay, so this will accumulate, and this is a sahasa act. That's what I'm saying. Okay, you will suddenly shout, and then you will say idiot, nonsense, what are you? Something like that you will say. Okay, so this is an effect of sahasa. Paishunyam sahasam. I have seen people. So one of the Veda Pathshala teachers. So he got wild and he just threw the key bunch. That fellow. So this is also sahasa kriya, krodha essentially. He was unable to control the anger. So he was repeatedly making mistake. Apparently once he threw. And anyway the Pathshala, management had to take some action. What to do? Paishunyam sahasam drohaha. Sometimes it results in droha. Okay. Then irshya. Irshya is jealousy is a term, but a nice definition of irshya is parotkarsha asahishnuta. So this fellow does not feel comfortable if the other fellow grows. This is the quality. Parotkarsha asahishnuta irshya. In fact, this is very, very common. So if the other colleague gets promoted and you don't get promoted, so then this will be a problem. Particularly in one organization. If it is in another organization, it is something. Anyway, this is something which is there. I mean, we have to just understand and accept and try to nullify it. Parotkarsha asahishnuta irshya. Then asuya is another thing. So sometimes we try to understand these terms to be synonymous, but it is not true. Asuya is defined as paraguneshu doshavishkaranam. Okay, doshavishkaranam. So this, what will happen is, if this grows in some sense, so guneshu doshavishkaranam. So you will find some good qualities in them, but your attitude towards him will make you look at that as bad thing. So this is asuya. This is another form of krodha. In fact, I distinctly remember there was some neighbor, so when we were small kids, maybe less than 10 years old. So the neighbor, my father used to say, Suya Prichal. So now I understand. Because that neighbor will always keep finding some fault with these children, and she will keep on blaming and so on. This is some quality which people have. This is asuya. Guneshu dosha avishkara. Irshya, asuya, artha dushanam. Okay. So arthasya dushanam can be understood in very many ways. See, sometimes, so even this happens. No? So these college boys, so they will go and break the hostel glasses. Okay, these are out of krodha. They will go and burn the buses. So all these things happens. Okay, artha means some entity. Dushanam is, it can be in physical violence, it can be verbal, whatever it is. Okay, artha dushanam. So then we have Vagdandajancha Parushyam. Vagdandajam. Okay. So Vagdanda is deeply hurting by words. So, physical danda and Vagdanda. Okay. Vagdandajancha Parushyam. Okay. Using always harsh words. So this is also there. Okay. These are all different manifestations of krodha. So say this verse. Vaishunyam sahasam droha irshya suyartha dushanam vagdandajancha parushyam bodhano bigunoshtakaha. So this is how Manusmriti brings out the effects of krodha. Now, if you can see, so if we are able to escape ourselves from any of these, then there is no question of ourselves getting into sorrow. Okay? This Paishunyam, in fact, let me tell you, this Paishunyam, I remember, it led to serious problems. So, my father once, casually he said, somebody, I mean, it is not intentionally done. So casually you share that this person, so I noticed this quality in this person. So it was not pleasing to me. Okay, it happened in the earlier stages of his career. That person went and told the other person. So he had that in his mind. So and then so when various things came, so promotion etc. came, so he just saw to it. So Paishunyam, I'm just saying. So even when we do that, so this is himself sharing something is a general tendency. That person going and saying this fellow was telling something about you like this. This is really Paishunyam, right? It is just to share one's own feeling or make him understand what he feels about this person. So he should have just kept quiet. So Parasmai Paravanta Prakatikaranam is essentially this tail bearing. So, anyway, so these are all things lead to, I'm saying, shokaha. So this later leads to shokaha. Kasyana shokaha yasyad akrodha. Akrodha means these manifestations should not be there. That is what it essentially amounts to. Okay? Yasyad akrodha kim sukham tushtihi. Kim sukham tushtihi. See, this is a very, very pithy statement which has really profound meaning. Normally, we think sukham comes out of samsparsha. Okay? Samsparshat sukham. Anukula samsparshat sukham. Pratikula samsparshat dukkham. But Krishna generally says, there is a shloka there, no? Yehi samsparshaja bhogaha dukkhayona evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshuramate buddha. Right? I have a beautiful rose. The sight of it makes me feel happy. If I feel like seeing roses, okay? If I feel like wearing roses. So these are all samsparsha. If I feel like having a particular variety of sweet, if I make it, so then samsparsha, okay? The samsparsha of the sweet in the tongue, so makes me feel happy, okay? So yehi, so anukula, for some people it may be sweet, for some people it may be attakodandu, whatever, okay? Yehi samsparshaja bhogaha. Bhogaha is something which gives you pleasure, experience. Literally, bhoga means experience, but it is generally used as referring to bhoga. Okay, pleasurable experiences. Yehi samsparshaja bhogaha dukkhayo nayevate. Krishna says. Okay, so the samsparsha we think as sukha, but it is dukkayoni. Okay, the source of it. दुःखयो नयेवते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः. Ramate means an intelligent person does not keep dwelling upon them. So dwelling means today I got this, tomorrow I will get this, when will I get this, etc. So all these things he will not be thinking. Now here the point is, so these are all sukham. Generally, as we understand, sukham. But here he says, tushtihi sukham. So what does it mean? So tushtihi means anukula vastu praptihi. Even that is not considered as sukham. But he says, the satisfaction is sukham. So this has to be thoroughly understood. So even in those instances, whenever you had the sukha, okay, ishta vastunaha prapti, you go and seek some favor from somebody. He grants the favor. I feel happy. Now, what made you feel happy? So whether it is a question of eating or it is a question of getting what I wanted, so that is an experience of happiness. So there, if you carefully analyze, it is you felt like having something and that desire was fulfilled at that moment, therefore you became satisfied. You understand? So it is the satisfaction that you derived out of what you wanted to be granted made you happy. So it is the satisfaction that you derived out of consuming what you wanted to have made you happy. Okay? So if you wanted to go and have dinner in some hotel, so if you are not able to go and have it there, so that makes you unhappy. So because there was a dissatisfaction. Okay? So if you are a satisfied person, so then you are always happy. Okay, so tushtihi is satisfaction. Okay, in fact, there is a beautiful verse there. What is that? Is what? That's right. See, another day also we take this. Trisha shushatyasye pibati salilam shita madhuram क्षुधार्त शाल्यन्नम कवलयति मांसादिकलितम् प्रदीप्ते कामाग्नौ सुदृढतरमालिङ्गति वधूम् प्रतीकारं व्याधेः सुखमिति विपर्यस्यति जनाः. Essentially that. So this verse beautifully builds the temptation that this person has at various stages. In fact, today we find a lot of atrocities done towards women also. Periodically it gets reported. What happens? Pradipte kamagnau. There is a fire of enjoying somebody by embracing or doing some act. Sudridhataram alingadi vadhum. This fellow goes and embraces. Okay, whether they like or they don't like, or they push them. So, in order to feel himself satisfied by doing something, you understand? This fellow does that. And the poet beautifully says that this is pratikaram yadhehe. It is a disease that you have. You try to address that disease. Okay. So there is a disease which generates a certain impulse in you, and you are not able to control that. And that you really feel as happiness, which is not really true. Okay. Pratikaram yadhehe sukhamiti viparyasyati. Viparyasyati means this fellow has misunderstood. Sukhamiti viparyasyati janaha. That is why he is saying kim sukham tushtihi. That is why these great people are Atma Rama. Okay. So if you carefully analyze, that hankering that you had for something was temporarily suspended, and you became satisfied by the fulfillment of something which made you feel happy. So it is that satisfaction returning back to your own self gives you happiness. So self itself is an embodiment of happiness. Okay, that is the message. Kim sukham tushtihi ko raja ranjanakrit. This is also a very, very important statement. Ko raja. See, raja means king. Ranjanakrit. Ranjanakrit means the one who makes his subjects happy. One who, okay, makes people happy. This is what essentially means. Ranjayati means pleases. Okay, Ranjanakrit means the one who pleases. So this Raja can be pleasing, and in fact there cannot be a more vivid description as to how people were really pleased with Rama. Ranjanakrit. Okay, so that has been beautifully brought down in Satyena Lokanjayati Dinan Danena Raghava Gurun Sushrushaya Chiva Gurun Sushrushaya Viraha Dhansha Yudhi Satravani. Anyway, this Gurun Sushrushaya. In fact, there is another verse. See, this is about Rama. They say Ranjanakrit. He will never get angry, even if the other fellow annoys. See, there is a nice verse. Nasmaratyapakaranam shatamapyatmavattaya kathanchidupakarena kritenaikena tushyati. This is how, in fact, Raja has to be. So otherwise he cannot be. Nasmaratyapakaranam. If somebody has done something which you do not like, okay, Nasmarati means he will never ever remember that. Nasmaratyapakaranam, not once or twice, Shatamapi. Understand? So then only he can be a pleasant person. Otherwise he cannot be a pleasant person. The moment you remember that, then the moment you see that fellow, then all those things will come to your mind. You can't be a pleasant person. Okay, for Raja it is very, very, very Nasmaratyapakaranam shatamapyatmavattaya. On the other hand, kathanchidupakarena kritenaikena tushyati. Any small help that has been rendered by anybody at any point of time, he will ever remember that. Kathanchidupa, small help. Kritenaikena tushyati. Gurun Sushrusha. The elderly people, they have to listen. So all these things are beautifully portrayed in Raghuvamsha as well as Valmiki Ramayana. So what are the qualities of the king that should be there? Ko Raja Ranjanakrit. In fact, in Uttarramacharita, there is a much more beautiful verse. In fact, it says, even if I leave Sita, I don't. आराधनाय लोकस्य मुञ्चतो नास्ति मे व्यथा स्नेहं दयां च सौख्यं च यदि वा जानकीमपि आराधनाय लोकस्य मुञ्चतो नास्ति मे व्यथा. He says स्नेहं दयां च सौख्यं च यदि वा जानकीमपि आराधनाय lokasya. Lokasya means in order to please my subjects, I am willing to give away anything. Even if I have to leave Sita, it is fine with me because my duty is to do Prajaranjanam first, then family Ranjanam. Okay. So, Raja Ranjana Kritu. So then we have Kaschashva Nicha Sevako Yasyat. Kaschashva means who is to be considered as a dog. Okay. Kaschashva. So there he says Nicha Sevako Yasyat. Nicha Sevakaha means the one who does service to a cheap fellow, a mean-minded fellow. Okay. Nicha. Nicha means a lowly fellow. Lowly means mean-minded. Kaschashva Nicha Sevako. Yes. Nicha Sevako means because that fellow, so you should always try to sort of please him. Okay. So in fact, the nice verse, नवधन मधुपान शांत सर्वेन्द्रियाणाम् अविनयमनुमन्तुम् फलमलमशनाय स्वादुपानाय तोयम् क्षितिरपि शयनार्थम् वाससे वल्कलञ्च नवधन मधुपान भ्रान्त सर्वेन्द्रियाणाम् अविनयमनुमन्तुम् उत्सहे Durjana. This Durjana essentially is Nicha. So Nicha essentially means so one who is not refined in his thoughts. Okay, so a refined person. So doing service to him is a great disservice you do for yourself. So you have to act like a dog. So you just say, come here, come here, come here. You have to go. Okay, it is like this. There's another verse also, I think. This Shwa. Swapindadasya kurute gajapungavastu dhiram vilopeti chatushatayischa bhunte. I think it occurs in his Shatakam, I guess so. See, Kashchash Nirupamarasa Preetya Kharasthi Niramisham. Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. So that is a slightly different. It is a different import. Okay. So, but here he is basically referring to the process. So that is describing the quality of a dog. Okay, a cheap fellow. So how he does not understand values, etc. So it is in that sense. So here, Kaschashva Nicha Sevako Yasyat. Nicha Sevaka means essentially, if it amounts to, you have to just drop and live with what you have. So that is what is the message. Alamala Mashanaya Swadupanaya Toyam Shitirapi Shayanartham Vasase Valkalancha. So for me that is sufficient. But I do not want to engage myself. Navadhana madhupana bhranta sarvendriyanam. See, Navadhana madhupana is a beautiful description. So the money has come now. So that is like an intoxicant for him. Navadhana madhupana bhranta sarvendriyanam. Sarvendriyanam bhrantatvam. Bhrantatvam means they do not know. Okay, illusion. Bhranta sarvin avinayam anumantum. I do not want to avinaya means his arrogance I do not want to encourage. Mutsahe durjanana. That is what he is saying. ॐ सर्वे सुखिनः सन्तु सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ